One of the most challenging issues that Israel deals with is being attacked by Lawfare. But what is Lawfare? Joining me today to discuss his new book on the very subject called A Table Against Mine Enemies is Larry Goldstein, a patent attorney registered with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, specializing in information and communication technologies. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so this book, as everybody can see, is very interesting because it talks to us about a topic that not many people are aware about, lawfare. How do you define lawfare?
Well, lawfare is the use, and some people say the misuse, of law and threats of lawsuits against senior military officers and senior political figures in order to inhibit a country's ability to defend itself.
Interesting. Now, how has lawfare been used specifically by Israel to defend herself?
I'll give you one example how we've done that. You know that after Hamas took over Gaza, we placed a blockade on Gaza 2009 against the importation of killing weapons. There was a flotilla in 2010, and the result was Mavi Marmara, which we stopped the flotilla, but it was a disaster from a public relations point of view. We weren't really prepared in 2010, but we were prepared for the additional flotillas in 2011, 2015, and 16 because we were prepared on two tracks. The legal track, there's an organization called Shirat Adin Israel Law Center. It's the #1 NGO, pro-Israel NGO in the area that attacked the second flotilla legally, attacking the communication system, the maritime insurance, the right to sail from the Greek ports. That was very effective at the same time that the government of Israel had a dual policy, which was be very soft on the humanitarian aid to Gaza and at the same time be very hard on not permitting importation of weapons or ammunition to Gaza. So it was the combination of the legal action and the political action that has been very effective in defeating all the flotillas after the 2010 Mavi Marmara flotilla.
Now, what's one of the most surprising things that you uncovered while you were researching and writing this book? I'm sure you came across a lot of very interesting information.
Yes, there's few, but the thing that was the most surprising was what I call the murder compensation table of the Palestinian Authority. Most people have never heard of this at all. The Palestinian Authority, or PA, passed a law that began in 2011 by which they compensate Arabs who kill Jews in any part of the land of Israel west of the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. And according to the statute, there's a table that says if a person is apprehended, tried by an Israeli court, and sentenced to prison, he will be compensated. But he will be compensated more money for the worst crimes. That is, there are different categories. And these are not small sums. Although the highest payment is $3,000. $3,000 is the annual wage of a Palestinian worker. So the reality is they're paying an annual wage every month for life to people who have murdered Jews. The fact of the matter, and they enforced this rigidly. Last year they paid out $300 million to people who had murdered Jews. What we can say about this table is, number one, it's an outrage to pay for murdering Jews, and number two, it encourages the worst kind of crimes against children, against babies, because those are the crimes that are most highly compensated. It's a monstrosity. There's something else regarding this. The donor nations to the PA said to them, we won't pay for this anymore. We have to stop. And they said, ultimately, we will stop. But what did they do? They transferred the function, if you're aware of this, from the PA to the PLO, which is the Palestine Liberation Organization, which is a political party. And so that's how they continue to pay. Formerly, the PA received money from donor nations. They paid to the murderers. Now, the donor nations pay the PA. The PA gives money to the PLO, and then the PLO pays the same amount of money to the same people in compensation for murder. It's exactly the same officials sitting in the same offices, administering the same program, but the PA says, we no longer are engaged in this. That's a major problem. What it says is, We need to focus on the aggressive aspect of lawfare, which is what this is. This statute does not make distinction between terrorist action in Hebron or terrorist action in Tel Aviv, between attacks against settlers or attacks against secular people in the northern suburbs of Tel Aviv. It makes no difference, because the problem is evidence of the Palestinians' rejection of Jewish presence in the land of Israel. That was very surprising to me, and surprising that people had not heard of this. I was flabbergasted.
I can only imagine. Now, you say the future of warfare is asymmetric. How does that relate to lawfare itself?
Warfare has changed dramatically. It's changing right now from about 1800, even before, until very recently, 2015. It was mainly people shooting metal at other people. We're now in the middle of what military experts call a revolution in military affairs. And when that finishes in another 15, 20 years, in the middle of the 2020s, metal will be shot, but not by people. It will be shot by machines. It will be shot by drones, which are flying robots, either ground robots or flying robots, which creates a problem regarding responsibility. Who's responsible for the drones? Particularly if you have what's called level 4 machine autonomy, means absolute autonomy of the machines. The second problem is people will continue to shoot each other, but I will shoot you with electrons. I'll steal your information, I'll blackmail you, I'll embarrass you in public. You will shoot electrons at me, you'll cause my electricity system to fall, okay? You'll cause my car to malfunction. That's cyber war, and that is going to be one of the predominant forms of war in the 2030s. There are major legal issues relating to that. What is an attack that justifies a response? How do you know actually who conducted the attack? And if there is an attack and you know who did it, what is legally permissible as a response? None of those questions are resolved.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and teaching us about this topic.
My pleasure.
For our viewers who want to learn more, grab a copy of A Table Against Mine Enemies. It should be in bookstores, correct?
Yes.
There we go. All right, thank you.
Thank you.